Hi again. This is Burton Samagrad, and this is now the third episode of the Skynet development series. Today, I've got a plan to cover possible show ideas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create, much like we did with the to-do list in the last episode, I'm going to create another to-do list, which is show ideas. And we're going to work with that. So, next thing I was going to cover, sorry, I was going through the introduction here. Next thing I was going to cover was, more Lisp overview, cond and lambda. So we're going to have that, and that'll be it for today. Lambda is going to be an overview, but hopefully you'll get it by the end. So let's get started. We're going to do a show idea note-taking list thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create, I'm going to create an empty list, show ideas. And we're going to do it this way. So we're going to quote a static list. I already have a file. And I've already done some of these things. Okay, so we haven't written pop yet. Write pop. We haven't explained cond yet. No, but we're doing that this episode. We won't worry about that. And we've written push, show how to do a to-do list we've done. And EQ's covered. Functions lambda is being covered today. Okay, and we have write let. Write pop and write let. So we can always look at our show ideas by evaluating it. Let's just do something interesting. Let's just say we forgot that we were going to explain cond right now. Okay. So, here we go. Explain cond, write pop, and write let. So those are show ideas. This show idea was explain cond and explain lambda. Well, after we explain lambda, we can write pop, and then we can clear those off of our show ideas. Okay, that's a plan. Cond. Cond is if you have any programming experience, it's a conditional. What it does, well, first off, we're going to see if it works. Nope. Okay, we've got a quick bug. Hold on. Expr. Arguments. This is why you write unit tests, people. Do not be tempted to evaluate that buffer. Undefined function, undefined. You know what? We don't need cond yet. It's already in our to-do list. Show idea list. Yikes, everything's falling apart. Hold on, let's try this again. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. It's still not even a baby. What are we looking at? Show ideas. Explain, cond, write, pop, write, let. Yeah, cond doesn't work right now. I don't feel like boring you with fixing it. We'll fix that later. We're going to add that to the to-do list. Fix cond. So there we go. Now we want to write pop. No, we want to explain lambda. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, so we have something called lambda. Lambda is how you define an anonymous function in Lisp. If you know any JavaScript, you use function to do that. In Lisp, you use lambda. Lambda is used because Lisp is actually a computational version of Church's lambda calculus. That's some interesting mathematical stuff about the roots of computation. The other one was made by Turing. That's why there's something called the Church-Turing thesis about computation. Be some homework to look that stuff up if you're interested. Lambda is used to define an anonymous function. So basically, this function returns its argument. That's also known as identity. Oops. Sorry. Even I don't know how to control this beast. I don't want to worry about that right now. Okay, so we've defined an anonymous function that returns its own argument, normally called identity. We evaluate it and we get it back. Nothing happens. You've created it and you haven't actually called it. So to call a function, you wrap it in parentheses and give it arguments. So what we're going to do is we're going to go lambda x. So there's our function. We're going to call it with the number 17. Now when we evaluate it, that anonymous function should be called with an argument of 17, returning 17. Woohoo! So that's functions. I'm assuming you know a bit about mathematics and you know a bit about programming here. Sorry, this isn't for, well, maybe it's for first years. I don't know, but this is a function. I'm sure everybody knows a bit of math. We'll do a more interesting function. And it works. So this is how you define what's called an anonymous function. Anonymous because it has no name. And we aren't going to get to how to do that for a while. So stay tuned. So we're going to list that as a show idea. Push. Show how to create named functions. Show ideas. Oops. Okay. Now where were we? We just finished covering anonymous functions. Now part of our show ideas was to write pop. So it didn't take as long as I thought to explain lambda. Hopefully you got it. If not, ask questions in the comments. So we're going to write pop. I'm also not really going to explain how this really works. Just assume you understand. one thing about Lisp is matching parentheses. That's normally a lot more easy with editor support. So we're going to have another show idea, which if you hopefully you got all this code here. If not, it's kind of sitting below. Push. Sorry, the show idea was, oh man, did I just forget what it was? Well, if anybody feels like reminding me, do so in the comments. Push, 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 push. Right, show ideas. Anonymous functions. Damn it. Never mind. Maybe I'll watch this episode and see if I can figure it out again. So now we have pop. Let's see if it works. Pop. 1, 2, 3. Can't pop static lists. That's interesting. So let's just define, set QX to the empty list. And we're going to push a couple values on there. Push 1 onto X. Push 2 onto X. X is now, as you can see, the list containing 2 and 1. Pop X. So when you pop, you return the last value that was pushed, giving us 2. We're going to look at the value of X again. You get 1. We're going to pop again. We get the second to last value. And we're going to check the value of X again. Now the empty list. So we pushed 2 values on, we popped 2 values off, and we ended up exactly with where we started. So a list, a list when used with push and pop acts as a first in, first out queue, which some of you might remember from computer science, but they are a fundamental data structure that can be built out of lists and macros quite easily in Lisp. So we pushed and popped. We've covered lambda, and someday we'll get to what what P actually does go through history. Here's the code for pop again, if you want to copy it into your core. And that's basically written that way for people that know Lisp, because we don't have let yet. The whole point of using the anonymous function with the variable e is so that you could create a temporary variable in that scope. I need to save the head of the list at object or at place P. So to do that, I need to create a local variable, which in this case happens to be E, which is returned at the end of the anonymous function, which is then returned from that's the actual code that's called. But we won't get into what a macro actually means, or why there's a back quote there and why there's commas there yet. Just kind of trust me. We'll get to it in the future. We'll add that to the show ideas. Okay. So as you can see, I'm not just a developer, I am a user of Skynet. So the data that I'm actually saving in here is quite precious. So this is something that I find quite interesting. I showed you in the last episode how to refresh your core. Hopefully we never have to do that. I think that would be really cool if one was to develop a computer that saved everything you ever did on it. That could be a pretty interesting type of thing. Or it didn't save it, but it just remembered everything you did in it. Of course, Skynet is able to do that because you're able to do so few things. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I think that's about it for today. If you're interested in upcoming shows, oops. As you can tell, I'm a hardcore VI user. I just start typing. Actually, I'm not. I'm a hardcore Emacs user. Trying to punish myself in my Zen garden I call Skynet with a VI editor. But those VI people, they're probably okay with not just kind of with remembering what mode you're in. I'm just so not used to it that sometimes I screw up. But okay, so here's some future show ideas. I'm probably boring you to death by rambling on. So yeah, and the music in this segment was brought to you by me as well. That's a little secret I haven't let you in on. All the music I played during these videos, including the first one that everybody hated, was by me. I'm actually a musician as well. And so yeah, this was my John Cage music that musical idea I performed here. I don't have a name for it yet.